Hey guys, this is Unworldly Perspectives. I'm Kim. I'm your host. Come on in. Tonight we're going to talk about the history of Juneteenth. I know a lot of you guys celebrate Juneteenth on June the 19th, but I am going to give you the history behind the June and the 10th. So come on in. Let me know you're on by saying hello, and we will get this party started. Also, you will see the General Orders number 3. It'll be on the screen. If you guys are not familiar with what the General Orders are, I will give you a brief description of what the General Orders are about. It's a very important article in history. The General Order number 3 looks like this. So you will see this throughout the show. And this is what the article reads. So come on in, grab you a drink, and let's have a discussion. Also, I want to take the time out to say a happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Even if you do not have any biological children, I want to extend a very happy Father's Day out there to you guys that is stand-in fathers. Whatever role that you may be playing in a child's life to show a child's love and affection, we cannot get enough of that. Our children needs to be loved and know that they're loved and brought up the right way so they won't become a victim of the street. So happy Father's Day out there to you guys. And then I want to also say happy Freedom Day. I'm going to do a little sharing briefly on my end, and then we're about to get this party started. Copy. I hope that you guys are having a blessed Tuesday. All right, I've shared. If you guys come in, comment below. If I do not see your comments, please forgive me. So I want to say hello to my TV land as well as my Facebook land and YouTube audience out there. The topic tonight again is the history and the story behind Juneteenth. Juneteenth, everyone knows, is celebrated on the 19th of June every year. But it was not until 2021 President Joe Biden made it a federal holiday. It was not considered a federal holiday until 2021. Joe Biden made it a federal holiday, which means it is the courts are closed, the banks are closed, etc., etc. And most jobs, most states are now paying you for being off on Juneteenth. At first, most companies was not saying Juneteenth was a holiday, and some people was even making people work throughout Juneteenth. But now it is considered a federal holiday. Kudos to Joe Biden for that, because it is definitely one of the most important dates in U.S. history for dark pigmented skin people. They like to call it Black Americans. You guys know from the last show, I don't like to use the word black. And I explain why the word black is not to be used. Okay, let's dive right in, y'all. In 1863, just as the Civil War was ending, President Abraham Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation to end slavery. Well, in the Confederate States, which is the southern states, I'm located in Louisiana, which is a very red Confederate state, did not want to accept the proclamation. They said, no, you're not free. When they came back from the Civil War, a lot of the slave masters didn't even let some of the slaves know that they were free. So they continued to keep them prisoned. It wasn't until 1865 the union got involved and said, hey, this is not fair. This is where the General Order number 3 comes into play. I showed it earlier. All right. That's where the General Order number 3 came into play at. It is up on your screen for my Facebook Live viewers and my TV audience. This General Order was given to the people of Texas. Texas is one of the major states in Benefield, Texas, actually, that did not want to accept the proclamation. They continued to have slaves up until this was brought up by General. And once this was brought into play, the article reads as such. I'll read it briefly for you guys. It says, the people of Texas are informed that an ordinance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights, rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and free labor. Basically, this number 3 stated that if the slaves wanted to remain with the slave masters, they had to pay them and they had to be as hired help, and they could not be no longer treated as slaves. Well, the slave masters still did not want to abide by this article number 3, and they continued to try to enslave our ancestors. And then after doing that, they started to kill them. It was live public hangings. They began to be kidnapped, tortured. All of that went on because a lot of them did not want to go by what Abraham Lincoln put into place in 1863, and then what the general put into place for with this number 3 article. All right, I am going to go into history of why Juneteenth is named Juneteenth. Juneteenth meaning is simply June and the 19th blended together. For y'all that don't know, it is simply the words blended together. Tonight I am doing a giveaway. If anybody out there in my audience that is watching, hold on just a second. They said they couldn't see me. Hopefully that's better in TV land. I am doing a giveaway, as I stated, to either a male or a female if you get the answer right. Can you guys tell me what name other than Juneteenth is Juneteenth known by? The first person to get the answer right, if it's a male, you win one of these gorgeous tumblers of your sports team of choice. This is the Eagles. I have Cowboys as well. So this is the Eagles. This is Cowboys. I have all of the teams. If it's a female that wins, she gets a bracelet, and I will send it to you free of charge. Let me go back so I can see you guys' comments. Okay, let's see. Hey, Miss Catherine. Okay, the question was, give me another name that Juneteenth is known by besides Juneteenth. It's several names Juneteenth is known by besides Juneteenth. Can you guys out there give me a name? I will be giving away a free item. I'll add that to every show. Can you guys give me another name besides Juneteenth? All right, moving right along. I'm going to give you guys, just in case you guys are out there like, what does emancipation mean? What does that mean that Abraham Lincoln signed in 1863? The Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation simply means The fact or process of being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions. That's what emancipation means, if anyone. All right, Miss Catherine, I got you. Thank you so much for participating. I will have a free item for you. I will send you a gorgeous bracelet. For y'all that don't know, I am Kim, owner of Kim's Gracious Jewels and Accessories. You can catch these gorgeous pieces or the bracelets on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time or Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Friday is from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday is from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right, let's get back into this. So as I stated, that is the definition. That is the definition, of emancipation. And so this is what Abraham Lincoln, after the Civil War ended, stated that it was unfair and almost inhumane to have slaves. So, moving right along. Hey, Miss Deborah, welcome, welcome. Miss Deborah, I just gave away a bracelet. Hello, Miss Tiara. Miss Catherine won the bracelet. I will also ask another question to give you guys that's just joining our opportunity to win. The topic tonight is the history behind Juneteenth. The history behind Juneteenth. All right. I also talked about the number 3 general order. Congratulations, Miss Catherine. All right. So the person that marched in on June the 19th, 1865 was General Granger, was over the Union, and the Union voted to end slavery. Just in case you guys did not know his name. All right. What do they do during Juneteenth? What have you guys done to celebrate or commemorate Juneteenth? Have you guys went to any carnivals? Have you guys went to any? What do you guys usually do to commemorate Juneteenth? What do you guys usually do to commemorate Juneteenth? All right, while you guys answer that, I'm going to tell you the amendment that played a pivotal role in the emancipation of the proclamation. On your screen is the general orders, number 3. This is a very important article of U.S. history. This is the article that was presented to the slave masters in Texas. General Gordon Granger presented this article to the people in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865. Citywide celebration. All right. So, the amendment that helped play the key role in the emancipation was the 13th Amendment. It played a pivotal role in the process of abolishing slavery. So, you have your 13th Amendment. Do you guys know why the people in Texas was rejecting releasing the slaves? Not just in Texas, all over the South, and you can still see some of that modern day slavery type mentality in some of the deep South. You can still see some of that in some of the deep South. If you guys ever visit deep in Mississippi, you go into some of the restaurants or some of the gas stations, you get this side eye look as well. Citywide celebration. Anybody else do anything to commemorate Juneteenth? Also, Opal Lee, a former teacher and activist, was largely credited for starting the Juneteenth federal holiday. And if you guys are not familiar, Lee was the one standing next to Biden when the order was signed into order. Y'all do a cookout? You know, I find some people don't celebrate Juneteenth as much as they celebrate July the 4th, but that is a topic for another day. You say you've actually been chased by the KKK, and wow, that's an experience. So I've only visited Texas for some cowboy games. I haven't really, and I also went to Houston. Is it still very racist in Texas from my Texas viewers? And also, so you guys will know, it was a push to make Juneteenth a federal holiday after the slaying, and I'm going to say slaying, of George Floyd on national TV. That's when the push really became prevalent for Joe Biden to put that as a federal holiday. And the states that pay you for Juneteenth, surprisingly now, is Texas, New York, Virginia, Washington, Nevada, and a whole lot of companies now give you pay, time and a half for holiday pay for Juneteenth. You know, at first it was just Christmas, Thanksgiving, holidays such as that. But now more states are joining in. Washington, D.C. just joined in as well. So, what do Juneteenth mean to you guys? Hello, Miss Lynn. In areas, yes. Wow. What do Juneteenth mean to you guys? Before tonight, did you guys know what Juneteenth meant? And then, guys, after some of the slaves were free, a lot of them will travel to Galveston, Texas, because that's where the order, the number three order that you guys see on the screen, that is where the order was put in place. They will travel to Galveston every year in honor of Juneteenth. And then that's when it starts spreading from state to states. But it was from Galveston, Texas. They will go and they will celebrate, and then more states begin to see and they begin to catch on. And then in 1872, the state of Houston donated $1,000 so that land can be purchased to celebrate and commemorate the Juneteenth celebration. The land is now called the Emancipation Park. I would definitely like to visit there, and that definitely the name it still has that same name, the Emancipation Park. Have any of you guys visit the Emancipation Park? I've never visited that, but it says it still has its name. And if you guys want to read more into it, this site in the reference came from npr.org. That is my reference sheet. And the Emancipation Park is located in Houston. That will be definitely a site I think everyone should go visit, and take your children as well. I'm I'm doing well, Miss Lynn. How are you doing? You visited. Beautiful place. So what do the Emancipation Park have? Do it have like statues of former slaves, or what does it have? What does it have, Miss Tiara? But as I said, even when Granger arrived with the number three article, as you see on the screen, still over 250,000 slaves were still not free. And when they did know their rights and they did try to get free, they were forced to be slaves, they were killed, or they was even forced to do free labor. A lot of them was not paid for their services because they were still deemed as nothing, still deemed as slaves. So it wasn't adopted. All type of relics pertaining to slavery. Great. You guys, so definitely you guys should visit if you can and put it on your bucket list to visit the Houston Emancipation Park. It's located in Houston, Texas. Galveston, Texas should also have something in relation to the number three article. This should be posted in the museum somewhere, all over, because this is definitely a important part of history. You guys, as I stated, y'all know I don't like to use the word black, so this is definitely a part of history. So, the Emancipation Proclamation that was signed by Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves in 1863. Why do you guys think it took 2 years in 1865 for the General Granger to fight and say, no, this is still not right? Slave masters are still doing whatever they want to do. Why do you think the United States government didn't step in and say, hey, this proclamation is in place. You guys need to abide by the proclamation and free all slaves. Why do you guys think that it is still they were still allowing slave masters to do whatever it is that they wanted to do? Why do you guys think that slave masters were still allowed to do whatever it is that they wanted to do? Because honestly, if it had worked, then we wouldn't have needed Dr. Martin Luther King. We wouldn't have needed any of them had the government. No one wanted to give up the free work for one. I can definitely agree with that. No one wanted to give up the free work. But I personally don't think the government did enough. Now there's some people don't like to discuss, but the government didn't do enough. Because also we just learned on the show that Joe Biden just signed Juneteenth in as a federal holiday in 2021. We've had several presidents since then, including President Obama. Why wasn't Juneteenth made a federal holiday before now? Why wasn't it made a federal holiday before now? Before 2 years ago, right after the George Floyd incident. So to me, making a federal holiday right after that incident was just a hush. Was just something done just to say something was being done. Because the timing is really ironic that all of a sudden it hadn't been made a federal holiday all these years, right after George Floyd gets slayed and murdered on national TV. Why would it then be made a federal holiday in 2021? All of these presidents before then did not make it a federal holiday. Why do you guys think that it was not put into place? We had President Clinton. We had that guy. I don't even like to say his name. We had that guy. Um, we've had Obama and we've had Biden. No enforcement. Republicans kept voting it down years before. Okay. Anybody else here say Republicans kept voting it down? And most of the red states are in the South, y'all. So if you guys did not know that, majority of the states are in the South. The red states are in the South. Louisiana, I'm in Louisiana. Louisiana is definitely a red state. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, whatever your political views is your political views. But right is right. And why wasn't it deemed a federal holiday before then? That's food for thought. So, as I stated in the first beginning of the show, Juneteenth got its name from June and the 19th being combined together, which hence made it Juneteenth. Because on June the 19th, 1865 is when number 3 article, if you guys have not read that full article, you guys need to do that. The general orders, you guys need to read that full order because it is very straight to the point and it's a piece of U.S. history. So you guys definitely want to read that when you guys get an opportunity to. All right. I'm about to do another giveaway. We're talking about Juneteenth. It goes in hand with when was the country free from the British? When were we free from the British? That's a good point. That's something we definitely will visit. Thanks for your share, Miss Lynn. When were we free from the British? When was America free from the British? Because even though America was free from the British, not all people were free. Because we goes back to 1865, everybody was not free. When were we considered free from the British? My TV audience, my Facebook Live audience, that number 3 article. Look at Catherine. Catherine got it right. It is 1970. I'm talking about 1976, y'all. 1776. Excuse me. 1776. So, General Granger goes into Galveston, Texas with the General Orders number 3 to free all slaves. June the 19th, 1865. We're talking about over 100 years. Everyone wasn't free. So that's why when they make comparisons to July the 4th and Juneteenth, how can you celebrate independence when everybody wasn't free? Our ancestors were still enslaved. That ain't nothing I made up. That's history. July 1776 is when America was free from the British. But not until 1865 and then still after that, months and months. of enslaving and unfair treatment went on all the way until 2000. We're still here. It's just done a different way. So, Independence Day and Juneteenth can't be talked about in the same structure. It can't be talked about doing the same thing because it's two different things. I don't know how many of you know that, but we was not free. Dark pigmented people was not free. So, ask yourself this question, my beautiful people out there. How are you getting your new clothes? You barbecuing, you having a good time on July the 4th, but you're not doing that for Juneteenth. If you have dark pigmented skin, you really got to ask yourself that question. Because over 100 years, as history says, all people were not free. June the 19th, 1865, on paper, is when it's stated in U.S. government that all walks of life, human beings, was meant to be free. The entire country was actually on paper free, but not in reality free. But on paper, June the 19th, 1865 is when everyone was deemed to be set free. So my TV audience out there, my Facebook Live audience, my YouTube audience, which one do you celebrate more? I hear a lot of people trying to have the discussion about Independence Day and Juneteenth. I will not, because they're not the same. They don't go together at all. The friend of land is not the same as friend somebody rights. The right to be free, the right to not be abused, uh, taken away from your home in the middle of the night, told you can't go anywhere, in prison, raped, abused, killed. It's just not the same. So which one of you guys, be honest, because before I became educated, I celebrated July the 4th. Was one of my favorite holidays because we popping firecrackers and everything. So if you socially woke, why isn't firecrackers and stuff being popped for Juneteenth? Why is it not a big celebration? Firecrackers and all of that popped for Juneteenth. Because it says Juneteenth 1865 was when all people were deemed to be free. So why do you guys think that it is not that big celebration? And even people of dark pigmented skin does not celebrate. I've been several places on Juneteenth, and I haven't seen the major get-togethers and the major celebrations in my hometown. Not saying it doesn't go on in other states, but here I don't really see the big celebration of all of the family getting together, barbecues, hanging out, new clothes. You know, people go get shot clean for the 4th of July, honey. They gonna have on their red, white, and blue down. But where's your green, black, orange? You know, go get you a new outfit for Juneteenth. Because although our people had a long way to go, that day in 1863, actually, when Lincoln signed the proclamation to free all slaves, is the U.S. government finally acknowledging that slavery is wrong. That is when it was finally acknowledged in 1863 that it was wrong. So why do you guys think that is? And which holiday do you celebrate the most? And if you're a dark pigmented skin, you really need to wake up, because neither one of them are the same. And we have to teach our children that. We are responsible for history. We are responsible for not allowing history to be changed, diminished in any way. So if we're uneducated, it is our job as parents, grandparents, or whatever role you're playing in our children's lives to educate ourselves on our history, our past, so that we'll know how to teach our child the correct way instead of the watered down version of what we think it should be. If you are dark, like as I stated, if you are dark pigmented skin, you should be dropping it like it's hot on Juneteenth. You should really be making some things shake on Juneteenth, opposed to July the 4th. Now, I'm not saying not celebrate July the 4th. You celebrate whatever you want to celebrate, but you need to know what you're celebrating. And if you are of dark pigmented skin, you shouldn't be celebrating July the 4th and then you and your family do nothing for Juneteenth. Because that is the day that your ancestors was deemed to be free. Thus allows us to be free. Because ask yourself this, how many of you guys would have been able to be a slave? When you're reading history, I like to put myself in the scene, if it makes sense. And I'm so grateful for the people that has came before me, all of the activists, the Martin Luther Kings, the Rosa Parks. I identify with Rosa Parks because I wouldn't have gave up my seat as well. And I don't think I would have made it then. Dark pigmented skin people went through a lot for us to have the rights that we have now. So Juneteenth is important for several reasons. Not just because we was free. It's because y'all know how much Congress don't like to admit when there is something wrong. Abraham Lincoln signed the proclamation to say that it was wrong. And that was the first time in U.S. history that it was a mission of wrongness. And so we have to make sure that we celebrate freedom. And June 19th, 1865 is true freedom for all of us. So, what do you guys plan on doing now that you know the real history behind Juneteenth? Because people be partying and don't even understand why they're partying for either holiday. So, key point, just like Houston purchased that land for $1,000. I sure wish besides going on an auction block you can get some land for $1,000. It ain't the same price now, y'all. But just like Houston purchased that part of land, which is now history, named it the Emancipation Park, for them to celebrate on. You guys should want to purchase land to celebrate with your family, your history. Because land is something that can't be taken away from you. Land is now more expensive than money. It's more, it's worth more than money, I mean. Hey T, how you doing, love? So it's important that you guys know your history, know the importance of what you're celebrating. Juneteenth is coming up. If you're a dark pigmented, celebrate. Put you some, if you eat ribs, whatever it is that you do, you celebrate you being free. You celebrate it. And it's not just one sided. You celebrate July the 4th come up, y'all still want to celebrate. But what do you guys out there in Facebook land, TV land, what do you guys plan to do for Juneteenth? What do you guys plan to do for Juneteenth? Knowing the history, knowing why it's called Juneteenth, you know the General Orders number 3. You guys, in your spare time, please go read the article in its entirety. The order is on the screen. That is a piece of U.S. history, and it is very important to have. I've read the article out for you guys to understand it. And what stands out to me is the part where it says this involves an absolute equality of rights. Because before this, people of dark pigmented skin didn't have the right to their own body. Men and women were raped. Property took from them, whatever they owned, uh, whether it be clothes or whatever. They didn't have a right to even go to the bathroom without being told. So a lot of people like to think that they're very headstrong, but I don't know a lot of people that can say they would have made it through slavery. I don't know many people that can say that they would have, even knowing that they're free, still being held without against your rights, um, would been able to survive. So definitely be grateful for history. Be grateful for June the 19th, 1865. This General Order number 3. I'm going to look for this article. This is something that I would like to put up in my office, because this General Order is a reminder to me of my history as a dark pigmented person. So this, for my artists out there, if you guys can get this, anybody out there that has this piece of history is also on the screen. If you guys can get that piece of history, I would love to purchase it. I would love to have that in my office. So, just a recap: Juneteenth, 19 June the 19th. I'm sorry, 1865. General of the Union came in to Galveston, Texas, right after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 to free all slaves. Well, the people in Texas, along with all of the other Confederate states, decided that no, we're still going to keep the slaves and do whatever we want to do. We're not going to free them. A lot of the southern states had that attitude. So General Garner got with the Union right after the Civil War. That's key. Right after the Civil War, and decided no, all slaves must be free. All. All means everybody. And so they went into Galveston, Texas, and the General Order number 3 was given to the governor of Texas to free all slaves. Juneteenth gets its name from June and 10th being combined together. Hence, you get Juneteenth. As I stated in closing, most people celebrate July the 4th more than they celebrate July the 19th. I hope that this information that was given tonight gives you a brighter understanding of why you may want to rethink your celebrations, because the 4th and June the 19th are not the same. They shouldn't even be brought up in the same context. But we have some people, because they wasn't taught, uh, think that Independence Day is when we were all free. And that is not it. 1776, we were not all free. 100 years later is when Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. I will go over the Emancipation again. Emancipation, for y'all that may have missed it, is the fact or process of being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions. So in 1863, that was signed over for all slaves to be free. And we have some hard-headed people in the red states, all southern states, Mississippi, particularly Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. Miss Tiara stated that it's still some cities in Texas that is still practicing this. Doesn't surprise me. It's still some states in Mississippi. I mean, some cities in Mississippi that you don't want to stop and get gas at. So it still exists, y'all. It still exists. So even with being signed in the Congress, even with being signed that we're free, June the 19th should be celebrated, but we also got to stay woke. In a lot of instances, we still not all the way free. And that's whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter what your political views are. Whatever is your views is your views. But you can't change history. You can't change the fact that in 1776, American won their land over from the British. But in this land, you still had slaves. You still had people of dark pigmented skin being taken out of their homes, taken from Africa, made to be slaves. Women were raped, abused. Men were murdered if they tried to fight back. So a lot of men lost their life for trying to protect their families then as well. So we have Father's Day coming up. Y'all, you make sure for the man in your life, father, your child's father, or whomever that's doing the best that they can, you make sure you show them some love on Father's Day. Because not just now, our men played a major role as well as the women. Some men will go 3 to 4 days without eating. And some of them will have to drink the breast milk of the woman in order to get some nutrients in their body. That is a fact of U.S. history. So both our men and women work together to survive during those dark days. And so you guys make sure as we go into this Father's Day weekend, we show our men some love because, as I stated, uh, they definitely still have some bondage and some chains and some barriers just from being dark pigmented male. They have it a lot harder than us dark pigmented women. They have to prove themselves in some instances. They're harassed uh, by the police. Like, we just have to be clear. They're harassed in a lot of instances. And so we have to show them some love. So again, happy Father's Day to all of my fathers that's viewing, all of my stand-in fathers. What I mean by stand-in, they may not be your biological child, but you have accepted that child, you have loved that child, and you have done all you can just like you're their child's parent. You are to be celebrated as well, because our babies, as I stated early in the broadcast, can never get too much love. Love is important for our children to grow up, not be bitter in the inside. But also, as you talking with your children, get a history book and start teaching them. Teach them their heritage. Teach them where they come from. Teach them about some of these holidays that they're out of school for. That's important. Teach them. Education is important. So they'll know, okay, Thanksgiving is coming up. What is Thanksgiving? Because we can have a conversation about celebrating Christmas, but not celebrating Kwanzaa. That's a topic for a different day. But you have different holidays that our children, half of them don't really know what the meaning of it is. Just like if you go and ask the average child, what does Juneteenth stand for? What does it mean? Some of them don't know. Some of them ain't gonna know. And it's not their fault. It's our job as their parents, or whatever role we play in our children's life, to educate them. So as I was learning the topic, more information to give you guys, I learned some stuff. And I graduated in my doctorate degree at the top of my class, but they wasn't teaching about this right here. So as you go through your studies, a lot is omitted on purpose, y'all. A lot of it is omitted on purpose. And so it's your job to educate yourself. So your babies will know, okay, Juneteenth coming up. If they're dark pigmented, this is the day that we get together as a family. We barbecue. We do all of that. Now that I've educated myself a little more, I wouldn't dare celebrate the 4th of July and not celebrate Juneteenth. If I don't celebrate Juneteenth, I'm not going to do anything for July the 4th, and that's just a personal preference. That's just a personal preference. Because independence from what? So as you guys are going through your rest of your week, ask yourself, what have you and your family done over the years for Juneteenth? Ask yourself, is your independence on July the 4th, are you celebrating your independence? Who independence are you celebrating? Once you ask yourself that question, you won't go buy a new pair of shoes on July the 4th no more. Because your people were still enslaved. So the answer speaks for itself. As we walk this thing called life, it's important to learn as much as you can, do as much as you can to learn all you can, and be the best that you can be. That's all that you can do. But as a dark pigmented person, it's vitally important, very important, that you know who you are and know where you're going. Don't put on no red, orange, and yellow and don't know what you got it on for. That's asinine. It's crazy. What are you celebrating? The more you learn who you truly are and where we came from, the more you appreciate our history, our heritage, and the more you can teach our babies to be a better version of themselves. As I stated, these general orders, number 3, if it's an artist out there that can recreate this article for me and write it out like this, please let me know. Or if it's a seller of the history that is maybe watching this, that has this for sale, please inbox me and contact me. I would like to purchase this piece of history for my office. As I close out, guys, I want to say thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for coming on my Tuesday shows as well as my Friday and my Sunday shows. It is my goal to give you a perspective that's not of the world, but of a perspective that's not biased, but I'm going to tell it like it is. So I choose topics to educate. That's very important because without knowing what you know, you can't effectively communicate. That's just like this. I'm going to give you guys this analogy before I close out. If I'm talking to you about something and I expect you to know it and you don't know it, then the conversation is off balance because you can't fairly participate in the conversation because you don't really know the topic. You don't really know. So if I ask you what is Juneteenth and you really don't know what it is, I can't get mad at you if you're not educated on the topic. And you not being educated doesn't mean that you dumb. You just don't know. We wasn't taught this. This here was not taught in the history classes. The meaning of Juneteenth. Where the word came from. The Emancipation Proclamation. When it went into signing. It wasn't taught that the 13th Amendment assisted in the proclamation. It wasn't taught that June the 19th, 1865, General marched into Galveston with the backing of the Union to abolish all slavery because the slave masters decided they wasn't going to abide by the proclamation. And not only not abide, they was going to keep them. They had the mind and the desire to keep the people hostage. So as I close out, I hope that it allowed you guys to open up your mind, open up your heart, and also know what you know, what you're celebrating, why you celebrating it. So when you're off on Juneteenth, because President Biden signed it into law, be grateful. Do something that makes you feel free. Take your children out. Take your family out. Do something before that other holiday come up. Make sure you celebrate you. All right, y'all. Thank y'all. I am your host, Dr. Kimberly F. Wilson. I hope that this broadcast enlightened you. Thank you for allowing me to come into your living room or your Facebook for this hour. I'll be back again on Tuesday. Next topic, you guys don't want to miss it because it is Father's Day, and I will have several guests for this show. The subject will be, are our dark pigmented men being victimized by the child support system? When I mentioned it to a lot of my coworkers and friends, I had a lot of people wanting to sign up to be a guest. I'm going to talk about what people don't want to talk about. And that is definitely a subject that needs to be discussed because, again, it's Father's Day coming up and we have some amazing fathers. And a lot of our, some women are just bitter. And so we need to discuss that. And I will discuss it. I'm not afraid to talk about any topic. I'm qualified to talk about just about any topic. I used to work for DCFS, so I do know the laws very openly and candidly. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Please share this. This may educate someone else that may just don't know what the true meaning of Juneteenth is. You guys be blessed. And until I see you guys again, stay woke, stay safe. Talk to you guys later.